What's going on, everybody? What's up with y'all? I know it's super late, even on the West Coast right now. What is it, like 11 o'clock on the West Coast? Um, 2 o'clock on the East Coast? What's up with everybody? Man, I had to come and respond to this young lady, Unusually Bree, and her video. For those of you that don't know, so Dr. Johnson, Dr. T. Hassan Johnson covered this young lady, Unusually Bree, speaking about black men and therapy and counseling, and she had a generally condescending tone, which I think is what most likely annoyed and teed most of us off, right? Or annoyed most of us. And so apparently people contacted her employer, and they got at her, and yeah, so she made another response, and excuse my background. She made another response responding to people, or she made a response responding to people or black men, saying she doesn't hate us, she's a black person, um, and she's begging us to seek therapy, and generally still came off as condescending. Ma'am, if you don't understand what the problem is yet, and yes, you are a black person. Yes, you are clearly a black woman. Um, but much of the issue, ma'am, Miss Bree, I'm just gonna call you Miss Bree. Um, Miss Bree, much of the issue is that black women such as yourself, often it's black women such as yourself, accomplished black women, who have been spending the better part of 4 decades telling the world how you are separate and above black men. Black women such as yourself, even before intersectionality was a term, were doing the whole intersectionality thing to separate yourself from black men, to tell the world you are, yes, you are black, but you're a different type of black, a better type of black. You're a black woman, right? So maybe you don't adhere to that, which I find difficult with the tone that you responded to black men with, but that has been the general demeanor and attitude of many black women for the better part of 4 decades. And there are other people in this space that would probably say it's been longer than that, right? Um, so that's what that was the energy you were met with, because your initial video was condescending and belittling and presumptive, right? You presume that black women, such as yourself, have the answers for black men. So you did speak about black men getting into counseling and getting into therapy. I agree with you there. But your overall tone, even in the response, was still a bit condescending. It was still mom. It was still as if you were speaking to a child. And if you want to know, that's much of what a lot of black men have an issue with when it comes to these type of conversations, right, with black women, is that many black women have this condescending tone, air about themselves when it come to black men, especially when we start talking about emotional issues and whatnot. And the question still remains, and I asked it in the previous video: when did black women become the bastions of good expression? Who crowned black women such as yourself? And you know, you went to school for this apparently, so like maybe not you in particular, but like who crowned black women as like the standard of the correct way to emote and then to express yourself, right? So you're speaking about therapy and black men seeking help. Do you really want black men to seek help, ma'am? Do you really want to hear how bad some of black men's experiences with black women are? Black women, oftentimes, such as yourself, madam, right? Black men are not pulling these things out of their rear end, right? The reason probably why you got hit with some of that energy once again was your tone, which you somewhat acknowledged, and you said you can be spicy, right? A beat could be spicy. No, ma'am, it was way more than spicy. And even in your response, with you crying, And I don't know you, as you said, we don't know you, so we don't know if those are crocodile tears or not. But even in your response, there was still that undertone of condescension. It was still there. Now, Mr. Z is not asking you to grovel and crawl on your knees. That's not my energy. That's not really me, right? But at the same time, even in your response to black men getting at you and getting at your employer, even with your response, there was still that air about you. And I want you to understand that's not just you. Black men are coming into contact with that from black women across the board. Black women that haven't done anything. It's not just women maybe like you, you're accomplished, y'all went to school, y'all doing your own thing, you can provide for yourself. Maybe you have helped a few people. Black men are getting that energy from women that have done nothing for planet Earth at all. And there's this air of like, I'm better than you. So the energy you were met with was the energy of black men's frustration at continuously coming into contact with women that sounded like you in the first video. And even in your apology, and by the way, you're not the first black woman to come in. Y'all remember the middle-aged sister a few months ago that said she didn't know? I didn't know. Wasn't she a whole professor, if I'm not mistaken? Something along those lines? I didn't know, ma'am, you're not the first. You're not going to be the last. Every so often we have a woman like you that comes in either straight to the apology or says something outlandish and crazy. Black men rhetorically hem them up, and then they come in with the I'm sorry, I didn't know. I didn't know y'all were going through all of that. I didn't know that was the energy. I didn't know. You're not the first, ma'am. You're not going to be the last. It's very interesting to see black women who, for the most part, grow up in the same environments as black men, attend the same schools, listen to the same music, consume much of the same media, go to the same churches, raised by the same parents, oftentimes single mom, right? And yet you don't know black boys and black men. Commercial break. Like, share, subscribe, hit that super chat. Now back to the topic. Yeah, grow up in the same environments. And there's this assumption that you know black boys and black men. And then when we ask black women like you often to speak about black boys and black men, it's just about always something negative. You assume you know black boys and black men. And it's always something negative. Look at how you spoke in the first video. You were speaking as if I just want you to seek therapy and get better and do better. Even in this video, in the beginning, like for the first couple minutes, oh, y'all need to do better. For you, no, ma'am, that's not. Maybe your words and your energy are off. You're saying we need to do better for us, but emphasis on the do better for who? Is it really for black men? Right? Is it really for our health and our well-being and our mental health? Right? This young lady was speaking, attempting to apologize for her energy, and for the first couple minutes she was still hitting us with the, it kind of is y'all though. And was this real contrition? Was this a real apology, or was this y'all messing with my job and my money and my livelihood? Right? Ma'am, for the longest, black girls and black women have sounded just like you. Just assuming that they got all the answers. They got it right. They're in the better position. They know better. And that was the energy you hit black men with in that initial video. Quite frankly, it's the same energy you hit in the second video, just with more tears. So if black men come off a little cynical, If we're looking at you a little suspiciously and sideways, understand where that energy is coming from. And if you're talking about in the first video, you were speaking about trauma. Do you really want to know where most black men trauma coming from? Do you really want to see where that trauma coming from? Is it from other black men? Yeah, sometimes. From white society? Of course. But how much of that energy, how much of that I need to go seek therapy is coming from black women? Do you really want to know how much of that energy is coming from these men and these boys, their mothers, their girlfriends, their wives, their sisters, their aunts, their grandmothers? You'll be surprised. Or maybe you won't be. Right? Once again, like, share, subscribe, hit that super chat. I it it was it's interesting to see your response video and for you to still not kind of get where the energy's coming from. Why black men met you with that energy, right? Isn't it black women and other women that say it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And supposedly you're a counselor or therapist, you don't understand what the problem is. You kind of alluded to it a little bit. Actually, you kind of said it. You know, you came off wrong a little bit. Ma'am, your entire energy was condescending on the first video and even in the response video. And some of that could be attributed to, yes, your position, and yes, you are a counselor, a therapist, and you're a black woman, so you feel very familiar with black men, so you come at us with the mom energy, right? With the aunt energy. I know best. I'm telling you what's best for you, and I'm gonna talk down to you. So between a mixture of you being familiar with black men and then your actual position in this society and what you apparently went to school for, do you not see how you came off super condescending? Right? Super condescending. And that's what happens often. You're not the first, right? And for those of you that don't know, I left a link in the description. Dr. Johnson just posted the video of the young lady. Her tag name, and I think it's on TikTok if I'm not mistaken, is Unusually Bree. Bree with 2 E's, right? And Unusually Bree is one word. But yeah, we're responding to her most recent video of her responding to black men and the energy we responded to her with because of her initial video where she was essentially saying black men need to seek therapy, but she said it in the most stereotypical, I know better than you, I'm better than you energy you can imagine, right? And I just want you to understand, Miss Unusually Bree, black boys and black men, they're done with that. That condescending energy that many black women hit us with, those days are over. Black men have finally caught on to the fact that black women want to be separate. You keep on calling, you said, I'm a black person. But are you? I'm not saying you're not black, but I'm saying mentally, where are you? Are you really a black person or are you a black woman? Now, those with keen ears understand why I made the distinction. Are you a black person or are you a black woman? As defined by intersectional, theory. Because if you are a black woman, then you should definitely understand why black men are hitting you with the energy that they are. Why they're responding to you the way they are. Not reacting, but responding to you the way they are. because the way you responded to them or reacted to them was very stereotypical, as I said before, condescending, I know better than you, black woman. And your supposed degree would say that to a certain extent, yes. But the condescending, not needed, not called for. And we understand like that gets you views and clicks on social media, the sass, right? And it was the sass, man. That exaggerated sass that a lot of sisters exhibit for no reason. The unwarranted sass. For you to attempt to tell black men to go seek therapy with all of that sass and attitude, unwarranted. Remember, this is you initiating this, right? You initiating this conversation. And you walked in the door of the conversation. Unless I'm missing something, if anybody correct me if I'm wrong, she was not responding to anybody else's video, if I'm not mistaken, or anything someone said from how I'm reading this, which means she walked in the door with that sass and that attitude, speaking about black men needing to go seek mental help and therapy and counseling. So if you want to know why you were hit with the energy you were hit with, that's why. You walked in the door being condescending. You walked in the door talking down to black men while attempting to say that you're trying to help. And black boys, now if you want to talk about traumatizing, that's traumatizing. Because black boys and black men have been being hit with that energy for decades from black women. I'm trying to help you, you stupid idiot. You know? I'm trying to help you, you moron. Right? You're too retarded to see that I'm trying to point you in the right direction. And I know you don't think that's what you were saying. That's the energy. And black boys and black men are done with that. No more of those days. Right? There's no need for it. As I said, you were walking in the door with that. So, as a recap, this young lady, now she's crying and she's boo-hooing. And I would suspect this because of her job. Apparently, people knew who she was. They were getting at her job. And she was saying, I might have came off a little spicy because of, the internet. But when I'm actually sitting down with people, I actually counsel them correctly. And I'm not going to say she's lying. We don't know unless one of you know her personally or know someone that has, taken a session with her. Maybe you would say different, but I'm not going to disagree with her on that, right? But once again, if that's the energy that you're hitting us with on the internet, and this is like so common. Madam, do you know how many accomplished black women, black men in this sector of the black manosphere have come across that hit us with the same energy as you? We had an attorney a year ago, if I'm not mistaken, a little while ago, coming at us all type of crazy. We have we have black women that are supposedly Ivy League educated, sounding just like you about black men and black boys. Actually, worse than you about black men and black boys. Quite frankly, you're light work. You're actually not the worst. Funny enough. So we could throw out the window the idea that the more educated people are more sane and more, amicable. It's easier to speak to them, right? This is not the time, quite frankly. That ship has sailed. The ship of I could speak to and about black men any kind of way because white society has the thumb on the scales for black women and is using black women not only as a colonizing agent, but as the model minority within the black community. Those days are over. If black women want to speak about themselves in this desperate, this different group of people, like this subgroup of people, or black men are the subgroup, right? Black women, such as yourself, oftentimes like to speak about black men like they're a subgroup of the black community. The black community is black women and black children, and black men are like these little rogue side group that needs to be brought to heel, like Hillary Clinton said, right? Then you have to understand when you're speaking about black men, you need to speak about black men like you're speaking about, I don't know, a different group. Because intersectionality has informed us that black women are black women, separate and above and different than black men, right? Once again, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. And that's the energy you were met with. You know, on a side note, I'm gonna kind of bring this up, is completely different subject, by the way. On a side note, BGS, masterful job on his coverage of me and the ladies from the breakdown and our coverage of the asexual revolution. And BGS did bring up, and I should have brought it up too, I wasn't even thinking about it actually, the Mice Utopia project and experiment, better yet, and how that fits into this conversation also. And yeah, just great, great video. For those of you, go look it up. I think it's his most recent video. He put it up a few hours ago. And like we're all saying, like I was saying on a more micro level, how many of these women are actually asexual and aren't attracted to anyone? And they're not attracted to the male body. They're not attracted to men. I would argue that's not really the issue. The issue is that they put their bar to impossible, and now they're throwing a temper tantrum because the vast majority of men can't meet that. And the men that can't meet it, the men that can meet it are so spoiled for choice. Why would he ever settle down with you in particular, right? So there's that. And then there's BGS, who covered it on a more macro level and spoke about the Mouse Utopia project and how this is kind of what comes about when you have a very highly advanced society where the majority of people's needs are met. And for those of you that I might be saying a little fast, the Mouse Utopia project. The name of the experimenter is Calhoun. So y'all go look that up. So yeah, and so BGS covered it on a more macro level, and as he said before, because we've spoken about this, me, BGS, Nameless, Art of Immore, Charles, we've all spoken about this, which is kind of what's going on in Japan and South Korea and in China. Japan, they have the herbivore men, they have the hikikomori. Herbivore men are men that are not really having sex. They're not, they're uninterested for the most part. You have the hikikomori, which means shut in. These are people that literally do not leave their house for years on end. You have the under 1%, under one birth rate in South Korea. Like I said in the previous video, you need 2.1 children per woman to maintain your population. And in South Korea, it's 0.9, right? In Japan, it's 1.4. And then in China, they have the laying flat movement, and there's another one, something referring to a pig, I can't remember, but yeah, there's another term that they're using also right now. And laying flat literally means the Chinese, particularly the men, because for those of you that don't know, I don't remember if BGS mentioned this, China has like some excess 30-40 million more young men than it does women, thanks to the one-child policy. Obviously, it's a male-centric society, so many of the parents decided to have boys instead of girls, and now they have access of some 30 million plus more young men. And so these young men really don't see a point in competing. They don't see a point of doing anything more than getting their basic needs met and maybe their hobbies, and that's about it. They're not trying to do the I'm gonna work my butt off to um, get some super nice apartment so I could get a really nice car, so I could go to the best schools, so I could get this career, so that I could pull this type of woman. They're over it, right? And so they call that laying flat, where they do the bare minimum to subsist. And I would argue you see that happening in the US now also, but the leaders of the US are not necessarily calling it that. And shout out to Sarger from Breaking Points. He's covered this type of thing multiple times, um, and kind of how this is affecting the overall society. Um, Tucker Carlson, for all of his faults, has also covered this a couple times on Fox News. I can't believe I just said that. Ugh. Right? So, but yeah, so this is also happening in America. It's just that American leaders and social critics don't want to call it for what it is. And I did get to see and I'm sorry, I can't remember who asked me this on a previous video about this, but um yes, so the elite are not calling this what it is, and the person asked me, do I think it's gaslighting, the article that came out pretty much saying it's the men that are suffering because of women's new high expectations. And I would argue yes. American society will not tell you how much black women are hurting, how much women are hurting, how lonely they are, how miserable they are. The New York Times is not going to tell you that. CNN and MSNBC are not going to tell you that. Maybe Fox News, because of its conservative leaning and its supposed trend to family values, may speak on that. But from the larger society, especially the more liberal media, they're definitely not going to give you the angle of like, yeah, these women are coming out of college and they're making their little money and they're fighting for like Mr. Z always tells y'all, they're fighting for the top 20%, and many of them are not. The top 20% dude is having sex with them. The top 20% dude may even go on a couple dates with them, but will not marry them because he's spoiled for choice. Right? So don't expect that from the larger mainstream media. They're not going to tell you, yeah, these women they're really unhappy. They have their career, they have their nice baby Benz, baby Beamer, right? They're driving around in entry-level luxury cars, and they have a nice apartment and whatever, right? But they're not happy. So that goes to that. And yeah, BGS did just once again masterful job in covering this on a macro level. And I actually would like for the ladies on the breakdown to kind of cover it again. But no need. I mean, I think me and BGS kind of did and obviously the ladies from the breakdown. I think with the 3 different coverage of it, you pretty much get the gist of it. But back to the topic at hand. Yeah, so Miss Unusually Bree, you see how we speak about things on this side? Yeah, you see what Mr. Z just did? That's how we speak about things on this side. Right? So next time you speak about black men and black male issues, the black community, you can't sun black men anymore. And a lot of black women academics are going to find out the hard way when they step on that landmine now. The days of sunning black boys and black men is over. And that was the energy you were hitting us with. Right? Ain't no more sunning black men anymore. That condescending tone, that I know better than you, excuse my language, you little niggas, those days are over. And I know you may not think, or better yet, feel that you were speaking to us that way. Nah, that's the energy. To Gil Gami, check my and I'm sorry if I haven't really been reading your comments. My apologies. I am at work. But Gil Gami, check my video. I put the link for their video in the description for, what did I title that? I can't remember what I titled it. But Yeah, I put the link. Oh yeah, yeah, it was Dr. Johnson's video. So I put Dr. T Hassan Johnson's title, I mean his name in the title, and I think the video is in I'm lying. I'm confusing a bunch of things. Sorry. Uh the Asexual Revolution. So the video that I have that's called asexual something or another. If you click on that, in the description will be the breakdown video, and you can subscribe to their channel. Those ladies are they're pretty good in some of their coverage. So yeah, and it's called The Breakdown: A Woman's Perspective. That's the channel name. I should have just told you that from the beginning. I went a roundabout way to just say that. So yeah, the channel, once again, Gil Gami, and to everybody else, the channel name is The Breakdown: A Woman's Perspective. Um, and the two women hosts, yeah, Sister George and C Rose. Um, so yeah, so to back to Miss on Unusually Bree, we're not in that era anymore. And from the way you look, you're maybe what, in your 30s, maybe it looks like, possibly late 20s, somewhere in your 30s. And so you grew up kind of seeing that in our overall society, right? Black men being sunned by black women, academic black women being black academic black women sunning black men, right? All the movies and TV shows like that, right? The Deliver Us from Eva type characters. That is like, when black men tend to think of like accomplished black women, that's who we think of, right? The character from Deliver Us from Eva, Wade's wife in Deliver Us from Eva, because that's the energy that many black women such as yourself hit us with, right? So, you know, to sum this all up, thanks for y'all for listening to my little ramble here. But yeah, so you were crying and you apologized for some of your energy, but I don't know if you really even knew what the issue was. It almost came off as a hollow apology because you actually still did the same thing, right? Excuse my background, it's gonna get loud in like 2 seconds. Oh, it didn't actually. Yeah, there we go. Yep. And yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah. So I don't. It was a hollow apology because it's as if you were apologizing, but you don't even know what you maybe did wrong, or you weren't fully aware. You kind of skimmed on it a little bit, but you weren't fully aware. It wasn't just your air quotes spiciness. It wasn't just because you were spicy, air quotes. It's because you were condescending. It's because you were condescending, right? Right. Oh, shout out to Black Uru. I didn't realize Black Uru was in here. Yes, Black Uru, Deliver Us from Eva, flawless example of modern black woman behavior towards black men. Exactly. Exactly. Right? And so that was our issue. It's you were being condescending, and you were coming off like you were trying to sun black men, which by the way is so that is like textbook accomplished black woman behavior. Right? I don't know if anybody else saw this, right? Years ago on the Breakfast Club, Charlemagne kind of got into some trouble by the LGBTQ. Was it LGBTQ only? It was LGBTQ community, and he had Jamila Lemieux on there with a couple of trans men and women. And Jamila Lemieux said something till this day that stuck with me. And I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't remember word for word. But she essentially said, yeah, we were talking to you crazy because we love you. Talk about verbal abuse. Yeah, we were calling you all type of crazy names. Yeah, we were being insulting because we love you. Right? because we love black men. She said something along those lines, if I'm not mistaken. Something around that what I'm saying. And like we see that so often with black women in the black community. Being condescending, being belittling, using the thumb on the scales from white society to beat you up the side the head with as a black man or black men. Let's not forget what Maxine Waters told us in the 2020 election, right? Doing all of that and speaking like that, and then wrapping all of that in a nice bow of, but we love you though. We're doing all of this because we love you. And this is where Dr. Johnson pops up from the bottom of the screen and says, colonizing agent. And then he pops back down, right? Right? Because now that I'm describing it, all I could think of is what Dr. Johnson says, colonizing agent. You say all of that, you speak that way, and then try to tie it up in a nice little bow of, yeah, but we love you though. We're going to sun you. We're going to talk to you crazy. We're going to belittle you in public. But we love you though. Right? Yeah, that's it. If that's love, if that's love, what does hate look like? Right? And that's it, yeah. That's just absolute insanity. Right? Black Uru said, I beat your ass because I care. Exactly. Who's the real Ike Turner in the black community? I'm just saying. who's really eating the cake in the black community? Who's really getting backhanded in the studio in the black community, right? Yeah, I watched it a couple times. Right. Who's getting punched out behind the couch? Right. Serious. And what you exhibited, Miss Unusually Bree, was that. And you may not think you have. And I Mr. Z does this often. I do this often where I tell people, yeah, you didn't use those words, but that's what you said. Right? And so for saying this to you, you hit us with the energy of I know better than you. I'm better than you and I know better than you. Now, you didn't use those exact words, but that's what you said. Right? Let's pause right here. Like, share, subscribe, hit that super chat. Right? Those weren't your exact words, but that is what you said. That is the energy you exhibited, right? And even in your response to our response, much of the same energy. And it always comes from this holier than thou space, right? That was the energy, the holier than thou. I'm saying this for your own good. You need to do better. And then you hit it with yeah, you need to do better for you. Stop it. On your previous video, if I remember correctly, it wasn't do better for you, it was do better for black women. Because black men don't know how to express themselves like black women do. That's the subtext that you didn't say. Because black men don't emote the way black women do. And as we have this common theme in the black community that black women look at black men like we're deficient black women. Or deficient white men, oops. Right? And so because black men don't tend to emote the way black women do, black men need to do better, which means black men need to emote the way black women do. Because black men have all this pent-up trauma and emotions, which somewhat true, but like I said in the beginning, do you really want to speak about where black men get most of that trauma from? Probably not. There was a lot underlying what you said in these past two videos, ma'am. A lot of things you suggested and implied, a lot of subtext to what you were saying. And that's why I said you weren't saying using those words, but that is what you were saying. I know better than you about you. And that's just stereotypical black woman 101, honestly. So I'm coming to a close, you guys. Thanks for listening. Um, this young lady, I mean, what did she say that we're not used to in the black community? Right? What did she say? Right? So this is nothing. This is nothing new, right? What I love, like I say to y'all all the time, I love the internet because now we capturing this stuff on. We're not even capturing it. Let me take that back. We're not even. They're recording themselves, being condescending, talking to us all type of crazy, belittling us, actually getting physically violent with us. Black women across the board, and these are the daughters of Alice Walker and of Oprah, right? And of Terry McMillan, name them. These are their daughters. The sister that just died earlier this year, these are their daughters, right? At least y'all knew how to play coy to a certain extent. Your daughters and granddaughters now, they ain't playing nothing. They're not trying to pretend at all. They're coming out the door speaking to us like this young lady. Or better, excuse me, they're coming in the door speaking to us like Miss Unusually Bree. Right? You know what? Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Let me see. These women are not our sisters. Oh, by the way, the 18th letter. These women are not our sisters. And in my opinion, these women are destroying the community from the inside out. Some of these women are the same as white supremacists. True indeed. And that was from the 18th letter once again. Went, saw, returned, F grade performance, SYSBM. Shout out to Gil Gammy. That was Gil Gammy's response. And yes, 18th letter. So I read. I'm sorry. My apologies, y'all. My apologies. Um, and I'm as a matter of fact, that is the standard. You read people's super chats, and my apologies if I haven't been reading them. So I'm going to do better on that. Um, yeah, but you're right. The 18th letter. I mean, I can't help but call them sisters, and that's another way. That's me also checking myself because there are other words, more artful words, right? That I could use more lively language, and I'm really attempting not to. Um, I'm trying to check my profanity, right, on my channel. I try to like use it at a minimum. Um, it's not that I can't, but you know, if I'm gonna chastise people about not using their words and not um, using the full range of their vocabulary, then I can't just be dropping f bombs and b's and all over the place. Although every once in a while, a properly placed um, word is called for, but I'm gonna try to restrain myself from doing that, or keep myself from doing that. Better yet. Um, so that's why I say sisters. That's it's me checking myself for the yeah. It's for the most part it's me checking myself. But yeah, so you know, this young lady stereotypical. Every just your random sisters talking to Mr. Z and other black men in the black community the way she does. Shout out to whoever y'all were that got at her job. Now, I'm careful about that because we also work jobs, number one. Number two, but she is a counselor and a therapist. So she has a responsibility and an obligation to be careful on how she speaks, right? So that is definitely understandable, you know? And I don't I and that speaks to something greater also. Like, how many black women are, and I said it before, are in privileged positions, and they still they put their face on camera and talk to black men like this, and speak of black men like this. Worse, actually. This was light. Speak about and to black men this way. And if their face is on camera and they're speaking about us like this, y'all already know about the Mahogany Pinks of the world, who once again is supposedly tutoring young people in somebody's college or university in the country, some type of statistical or whatever the hell she's tutoring. So that's how the sisters that's not showing their face sound, right? And I don't even know why I called her sister. That's how the black women such as her, that's how they sound when they don't show their face. Would let you know that they feel, and they're pretty much right, that white society will back them, will let them speak to us like this, and I said encourage them to do so, pay them to do so, right? And that's why I continue to emphasize, especially on today's video, the dominant society having their thumb on the scales for women like this, right? That's why they feel like they can speak to us this way. And for the most part, at least in the past, they were right. Now it's up to black men to levy some consequences for that, for speaking to us and about us in this way, regardless of the overall environment, right? Commercial break. Like, share, subscribe, hit that super chat button. Yeah. And until that becomes a normal occurrence, a regular occurrence, this is going to continue to happen, right? And the young lady was crying on that video, so meh. Were those crocodile tears? I don't know. Was she still condescending in the response video? Yes. All right. Yes. Was it as bad as the first one? No. But that air of being condescending, maybe that's just her attitude. But then again, if that is just her attitude, then that's just the attitude of, like, how many black women in the black community concerning black men? Being condescending and just chalking it up to, that's how I talk. That's not how you talk. I saw you at work earlier today. That's not how you talk. I saw you when you went to Starbucks and went to go pick up a bagel and some coffee. That's not how you talk. Right? That's not how you talk. That's how you talk to black people, particularly black men. But that's not how you talk to non-black people, and even some black people with some authority. That's not how you speak to them. Which means you super familiar with black men to the point where you think you could be condescending. Like I said earlier, those days are done. Being condescending, talking down to black men and black boys, right? Just to do it, just because that's the way, that's how you were socialized. Yeah, over. And this should be an example of that, by the way. So, shout out to all of you. Thanks for, I didn't even know I was gonna have like damn near 40 people listening, this late at night. And thank you guys for listening in. I am not on I am on live right now, but I'm not on live stream, so I don't know how to pull people up and all that other stuff on this. I've gotta try to figure it out. But thank you for listening in, and I'll pause right there. Thank you guys. And thank you guys for all your well wishes and whatnot. As I said with the car, and shout out to BGS reviewing both my video and the breakdowns video of the asexual revolution. Um, and I'll pause right there. All right, you guys. Peace.